Hello, everyone, and welcome to the National Archives Virtual Pajama Party program series. We're so glad you can join us. This is our third and final set of activities and historical sources before we get a chance to meet and talk with Ms. Lori Hernandez on March 20th. So let's get started. Today's theme is about gymnastics, and you knew we would have something about that, right? Since that is Lori Hernandez's sport and what she writes about in her book, I Got This. Gymnastics has been a popular form of exercise throughout history and across cultures. Didn't always look exactly the same as it looks today, but there was a form of gymnastics or acrobatics, including in ancient Egypt and China. It was introduced to the United States in the mid-1800s, probably by immigrants from Europe, where it was popular. The modern Olympic Games, it started in 1896. Remember, we looked at when the Games started and what it was like in that early time period in one of our other sessions. They started in 1896, and when they did, they had gymnastics for men, but not for women. It would be more than 30 years before women could compete in gymnastics at the Olympics, and another 20 years after that before separate events for women were added. So the historical sources from the National Archives that we're going to look at today are photographs, a video, and a patent drawing. Now, this might be the first time you've ever seen a patent drawing, but they're really cool. Our first historical source is the 2016 U.S. gymnastics team. And you can see right there is Lori Hernandez, one of the Olympic gymnasts doing the splits on the floor. She mentions this in her book. Maybe you remember her talking about it when she got to go to the White House. This picture from September 2016, the gymnasts are with President Barack Obama as he attempts his best split with the team, and First Lady Michelle Obama watches. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get into the same position if his best split is as good as the gymnasts that have their best split going on. Our second historical source is a short video clip of people doing gymnastics in 0G. When you hear 0G, the G sound stands for gravity. Gravity is the thing that holds us on the ground, so we don't just float away. This video clip is from our Space Administration, NASA, and it's a video from 1985 that shows people doing gymnastics in a zero gravity environment. And in other words, they're in somewhere that doesn't have gravity, so it simulates being in space. That's from the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. So make sure to watch this video because they do some amazing things, somersaults and splits in the air. And as you're watching, think about what it might feel like for you doing gymnastics with no gravity to hold you to the ground. Our third historical source for the day is a picture of Nadia Comaneci. In her book, Lori Hernandez mentions that fellow gymnast Nadia Comaneci is a personal hero of hers. Comaneci was 14 when she became the first gymnast to be awarded a perfect score of 10 at the 1976 Olympic Games in Montreal. This particular photo is from September 2009 and shows Nadia Comaneci and her husband, who's also a gymnast, Bart Connor, meeting First Lady Michelle Obama. So that had to be pretty exciting. For those of you who are into sports, you might notice already that there are other athletes at this event that Michelle Obama is greeting and that are around and in the group. If you want to take guesses, you do that first, and then you can check your guesses by going to our Docs Teach site to zoom in on this or any of the other things I've been showing you. So you click on the link, you go to Docs Teach, and you can zoom in on the picture here. You can move it around a little bit to see who all is there. And you can see the caption down below of who all is there. Now, I recognize this gentleman right away because I used to be into basketball, and that is David Robinson, who was an excellent basketball player. So check things out in Docs Teach so you can see more details. Our fourth source is a picture of Mary Lou Retton. And if you know gymnastics, I'm sure you've heard Mary Lou Retton's name. She competed in the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, where she won a gold medal in the individual all-around competition, as well as 2 silver and 2 bronze medals. This picture from 1984 shows Mary Lou Retton and the rest of the United States Olympic team in Los Angeles with President Ronald Reagan. All right, the historical source number 5 is the patent I mentioned before. And a patent is something you apply for or you receive. Well, first you apply, then you receive. If you've invented something, if you invented it and you want to make sure people know this is something that you invented and it's special, you submit a patent application. In this case, it was a man named Frederick A. Banker, and you can see his name right at the top in the middle here, of New York. He got his patent on November 18th, 1873, so almost 150 years ago. That gives us a clue about how long people have been interested in gymnastics, that it's been a long time. And then, of course, everyone loves a cool new toy. This was a little bit different than the toys we have today, but when it came out, I'm sure a lot of kids enjoyed it. It's also a great example of something that Lori Hernandez talks about in her book, which is persisting after setbacks. You work hard and sometimes things don't work out as you wish they had. That doesn't mean give up. That just means try again and be persistent. And that's an example here because down on the bottom left part of this patent, you can see a little notation that says that the patent was rejected twice before it was finally granted. So Frederick Banker tried and tried again and finally got it so that he had a patent for this invention of his. Have you ever thought of inventing something? You're going to get your chance in one of the activities today. Our sixth historical source is a picture with Michaela Maroney. And I love this picture. It's why I had to make sure to include it in our activities today. Why those funny faces on gymnast Michaela Maroney and President Obama in this picture? The picture was taken in November 2012, and the story is part of the photo's original caption. I guess President Obama had just met with the U.S. Olympics gymnastics team from that year. They had missed a ceremony earlier in the year with the entire U.S. Olympic team. And I guess at some point, Michaela Maroney gave this kind of look, and the president suggested to her while she was there that they create her not impressed photograph before they left for the day. So it's a fun picture. All right, so let's talk about our activity ideas. The first one is always art. And in this case, it would be to draw a gymnastics picture. So draw a picture of someone doing gymnastics. And be creative with it. Is the person on the balance beam, the uneven bars, doing a floor routine, or something else? Is it at a competition event where there is an audience and judges, or is it just the gymnast practicing? Does the room have colorful or plain walls, floor, and ceiling? Is the person in the picture going to be you or someone else? Remember, the most important thing in this activity is your creativity, not your drawing skills. As Lori Hernandez reminds us in her book, getting better at something requires lots of practice. So consider this great practice to get better at drawing. Our second activity idea is writing, and it's always your voice, things that you want to talk about or to share your opinions. This is your opportunity to invent something. We talked about the slide with the patent. And in this case, it would be inventing a new gymnastics move. Now, if you already do gymnastics, you might have thought about some of this already. Every move in gymnastics and other sports started with an idea that people had about whether something could be done and how. What ideas do you have about the types of things it would be cool for a gymnast to be able to do? Describe the move, why you think it would be exciting to see, and if you think you will ever be able to do it yourself, or if you'll be able to watch a gymnast accomplish it in a routine. Our final activity idea for this week is the voices of history. This is where you think about what it might have been like to live in earlier times. And in this case, you can imagine you could go back in time and meet a gymnast from history. Who would it be and why? Would it be some of the athletes we've seen today, like Nadia Comaneci or Mary Lou Retton? Or maybe it would be gymnasts from an even earlier point in history, such as Roberta C. Ronk, who competed in the 1930s, or Diane Durham, who was the first Black gymnast to win a U.S. national championship in 1983. Write a short story about going back in history and meeting this gymnast. What would you ask her? And what would you tell her about your life today? That's it for this session. Thank you for participating. We will see you on Saturday for our live event with Lori Hernandez. Start thinking now of some questions you might want to ask her on Saturday. And don't forget to wear your pajamas and make a snack. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Otherwise, we will see you Saturday. Thanks.